Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's K Gibbs F1 here, and welcome to Motorsporting Matters, where this time we're dissecting the Spanish Grand Prix major talking points. And what a race it was. Two greats of the sport, Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel, the two title protagonists in 2017, taking chunks out of each other and battling hammer and tongs for the race victory. It's what we've been wanting to see for such a very long time, and thank goodness this race delivered us our first taste of Hamilton versus Vettel in wheel-to-wheel combat. But as Toto Wolff said, it was a magic call to pit Hamilton under the virtual safety car, and James Vowles, Mercedes chief strategist, deserves a lot of acclaim for this race victory. He didn't have an itchy trigger finger, he didn't pull Hamilton in as soon as the virtual safety car was deployed. What he did was intelligently wait until nearly the end of the virtual safety car, pit Hamilton just as the green flag dropped. And what it meant was Ferrari had no time to react to that pit stop. They couldn't pit under the virtual safety car themselves, making it a green flag pit stop for them. And that is where the race got away. Hamilton gained so much time by making that virtual safety car stop that when he emerged from the pits, yes, Vettel emerged ahead of Hamilton. But with Hamilton being on the soft tyres, Vettel on the much lower mediums, it was always going to go one way. And as long as Hamilton kept his tyres together towards the end of the race, which he did well to, given it was a 30-lap stint on a set of soft tyres, that was where the race was won. So Sebastian Vettel finished second in this one, but it was still a great race from him, and you can tell he's on absolutely cracking form at the minute now that he's back in the title hunt, and certainly a driver of the day performance as he was voted at the end of the race. For nothing else, but for that sublime move on Valtteri Bottas into turn one. Bottas, doing a great job for Mercedes, defending extremely hard against Sebastian Vettel, right on the limits of what is acceptable as well, as far as moving in braking zones goes. And it was really ballsy move down the inside, two wheels on the grass, just absolutely sublime. He was uncompromised. Vettel was uncompromising as well on Lewis Hamilton when the Brit emerged from the pit lane, and when Vettel emerged from the pit lane, I should say, Hamilton on the outside at turn one, and Vettel left him no change on the exit. So that really set the tone for the battle for the remainder of the season, that one. And it was a little bit spicy in the press conference, shall we say, afterwards, the written press conference, where Hamilton was basically called Vettel out on the amount of space that he was left on the exit of turn one. And Vettel saying, I left you enough space, and Hamilton saying, you really didn't, Seb. So, we'll see how that one progresses throughout the rest of the season. But 18 points for Vettel should be considered that a really good save from this weekend, given what happened to him on Saturday. So, in between FP3 and Quali, if you didn't see that particular point in the weekend, Vettel had to have an engine change. They found an issue, a water leak, I believe, after FP3, but they didn't have time to go and basically repair the water leak before Quali. Instead, they just threw a new engine at it and essentially rolled out the pit lane after this sub 2 hour engine change, and it was an electronics problem. Basically, the system shut down, and it meant that Seb was cruising around with no power, basically. Now, Ricardo Adame, his race engineer, came over the radio and told him to shut the thing down, and of course if you stop on track in qualifying, it is game over. So Seb quite calmly said, are you sure? And sure enough, Ferrari suddenly then came up with a fix for the problem. Driver default setting plugged in on the steering wheel, and Seb drove all the way to second on the grid. So big save, considering that he was so close to starting 20th, and if he hadn't had his brain engaged and wasn't switched on like he is, then that would have been last position on the grid and a potential big loss of points and championship momentum in favour of Lewis Hamilton. Now, to be fair, obviously I said driver of the day was Sebastian Vettel. To be fair, there were another couple of drivers who would be well deserving of that accolade, and one of them was Pascal Wehrlein, who finished P8 for Sauber. And it was a fantastic strategy from Ruth Buscombe. Just like James Vowles, it was really a day for the strategists, this one, with the virtual safety car coming at a critical point in the race. And that was exactly when Sauber made their one and only pit stop of the day for Wehrlein. So he boxed and did a fantastic stint, 33 laps on the soft tyres at the start, which made that one stop possible. No one else managed to do 33 laps on a soft at the very start of the race. Kvyat was the only man to get close, who did 32 laps. But the rest of them were far and away short of that particular lap total. on the softer option tyre. And then Wehrlein went mediums all the way to the end, managed to hold off Carlos Sainz throughout the final stint of the race as well. So very well executed from the man on track, and very well executed from those guys on the pit wall as well. And those points for Sauber, those 4 points, could prove so critical in the battle against McLaren in the Constructors. And McLaren will certainly be looking at that and be a little concerned, I'd say, because they're currently the only ones sitting on nil points at the bottom of the standings, and Sauber with those points could easily finish, are scheduled at the moment to finish ahead of them in the standings. So work to be done from McLaren, and that's just put even more pressure on the Woking squad that they could really do without at the minute. Now, another big drive was Daniel Kvyat, who after a really tough Saturday were actually qualified last of all. He started 19th after Van Dorn's engine penalty, but went up 10 places from there to finish pretty much on the back of Sainz. And in 9th place. So once again, 9th for Kvyat. He's finished 9th so many times in his Toro Rosso career. Never actually finished higher than 9th for Toro Rosso. So that's his equaling his best finish for the team. And solid drive from him. It was also a double points finish once again for Force India. Perez P4 and Ocon P5. They were running 6th and 7th before Valtteri Bottas and co dropped out of the race up ahead. So they eventually ended up P4 and P5. So very good stuff from them. Their 5th double points finish of the season. Their 5th from 5 races, and they're the only team to have 100% point scoring record on both cars so far this year. 15 races as well consecutively in the points for Sergio Perez, which is an astonishing feat given that he's been driving what is a midfield car basically. Now Force India are only 19 points now off of Red Bull in the constructors standings, and if Red Bull and Verstappen and Ricciardo keep having a little bit of unreliability getting in the way, and if Verstappen trips over other drivers, a bit like he tripped over Kimi Räikkönen in this one, then Force India could well get into that fight for 3rd place. Everyone scoffed when they said at the start of the season that 3rd was their target for this year, thinking that they wouldn't get close to Red Bull, Ferrari and Mercedes. Maybe not on pace, but certainly as far as reliability and consistency goes, their drivers and their team are doing absolutely everything they need to do at the minute to put some pressure on F1's preeminent forces out front. So that was the Spanish Grand Prix. Please let me know in the comment sections below who your driver of the day is. Was it Sebastian Vettel for that move on Bottas? Was it Pascal Wehrlein for taking Sauber's first points of the season? Or was it Perez or Ocon for once again being fantastically brilliant and scoring lots of points for Force India? With regards to that, that's all for today really, folks. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Please leave a like if you had, and like I said, remember to leave your driver of the day in the comment section below. Congratulations to Lewis Hamilton, his 2nd win of the season, and an absolutely thrilling Spanish Grand Prix. Until next time, see you soon.